This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. The Men with Old Eyes by Gary Church. Pennsylvania, July 1863. Chapter 1. Ellis struck a match and held it to the small pile of tinder inside the wood stove. He watched the tiny flame for several minutes as it spread. Satisfied the wood had caught, he picked up the coffee pot and stepped over to the back door, where he took his hat from the nail and situated it on his head. After quietly and carefully removing the bar from the door, he stepped outside. It would be a hot day, after the sun rose, but in the pre-dawn hours it was almost cool. Looking around in the dim light, he stepped off the porch and walked out to the well, where he pumped enough water to wash his face and then fill the coffee pot. After re-entering the house and placing the pot on the table for his mother to find, he stepped back into his room to retrieve his gloves. Stepping outside again, he headed for the outhouse, some 40 yards from the house. Most places kept theirs closer, but his mother insisted on some distance between the house and the necessary. He hadn't gone far when a big, rangy dog appeared, followed closely by a smaller dog. He stopped and knelt, rubbing and greeting the dogs before rising and resuming his trip. As he walked past the chicken coop, he glanced at it and listened, but all was quiet. The chickens put themselves to bed at dusk and rose at dawn. He closed the coop door each night to keep out the varmints and wild dogs. He would open it on his way back. Leaving the privy, he stopped at the coop and unlatched the door, the rooster flapping his wings and running down the ramp. Ellis walked to the barn, entered, and opened a door to the storage room where he scooped grain into 2 buckets. These he provided to the 2 Holsteins that provided the family's milk, some of which was made into butter. By this time, 2 horses that had been grazing nearby came through the small corral's open gate for their morning feeding of oats and beans. Ellis poured 2 buckets full into a wooden trough and rubbed the horses' heads. He climbed into the barn's loft and pitched out some hay for the horses and some down to the barn floor for the 2 milk cows. His early morning duties included raking out the barn stall and splitting some wood to ensure there was always a ready supply for the stove and fireplace. His father would gather the eggs and milk the cows, although one was in her rest period. A milk cow had to have a calf each year to produce milk. The gestation period was 9 months. Each cow produced milk for about 300 days each year for 4 or 5 years. His mother would prepare breakfast while they completed the chores. After the 3 had eaten, Ellis and his dad would work on harvesting the corn. As he raked out the stall, working around the cows, Ellis's thoughts turned to the day ahead. He thought he might do some squirrel hunting after supper, and the idea pleased him. After shoveling the dung into a bucket and dumping it in a pile behind the barn, he made his way to the log pile, took up the axe and the wedge and split logs. As he did, his thoughts drifted to Bee. About the time he harnessed the mules and hooked them to the wagon, she would arrive at her father's general store to help serve the customers. He smiled. Ellis was 32 years old and had never married. There had been a serious relationship when he was a youthful man, but to his total bewilderment, as the courtship grew serious and he and the girl had talked of marriage and a family, she withdrew. Then, one day, he saw her in town, escorted by a young man whose father was wealthy. Ellis had eventually left, spending the next 13 years traveling the country and living a life of adventure. Just last year, he had returned home to live with his elderly parents and help them with the farm. His arrival had allowed his much younger brother, Archie, a late child, to take a job in the coal mines to help raise cash for the family and to save for his own pending nuptials. Ellis had met Beatrice, whom everyone called Bee, at her father's store, and he had instantly been drawn to her quick smile and humor. She was 7 years younger than himself, widowed at age 20, married for only 2 years, childless, when her husband died of cholera. She used her maiden name, Hayes, now.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.